The world famous Butch and Bob Show.
World famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio. And Bob, we've got a very special guest on the phone with us. Who do we have?
We've got State Representative Buddy DeLoach on the phone with us on the world famous Butch and Bob Show, talking about what's going on up at the state legislature. Buddy, always good to have you on the show. Appreciate you calling in.
Thank you. It's great to be in Wayne County, if just by phone.
We had Blake on yesterday, and we were talking about the story we had on, and you talked about this at the Exit Issues, the anti-Semitism bill that's being presented up there. You had a personal story to tell at the Exit Issues, so I'll let you tell that personal story and what's taking place up there in Atlanta.
Well, I just mentioned my neighbors and their grandchildren visit frequently, and they are Jewish, and it just breaks my heart to think about them being fearful to go out, to go to school, or it's something we never dreamed we would ever see in this country. And whatever we can do at the legislative level to help that situation, we need to do it.
Well, the good news is it was a unanimous vote, a bipartisan vote, but I understand there were some protesters up there. Were you there when the protesters had to be taken out?
I was not there when they had to be taken out, but we see that daily here, which is another thing that amazes me, is how many people there are now in this country that have such strong feelings and really loyalty to some other country.
Do you think that'll pass in the legislature, or do you think that'll be something to be debated on more, or your thoughts on?
I think it will pass. They sent it to the House, and I serve on House Judiciary, and we probably will have it tomorrow and probably pass it without too much debate.
Okay, if you're just joining us, we got Buddy DeLoach, State Representative, on the phone with us up there in Atlanta. What else is taking place? I know Blake talked about the budget, but what are some of the other hot ticket items up there being discussed?
I think the House probably this week is going to announce some tax cuts, income tax, state income tax cuts, and perhaps other ways to return some of the surplus that we have to the taxpayers, to the folks that send it in. We ought to send some of it back if we don't need it. But we have some other really serious issues that the money's going to help with. We have in our prison systems an incredible number of vacancies for people that work in the prisons, and a lot of that simply is they can make more money somewhere else. And if you don't have adequate staff, you lose control of your prisons, and that's pretty frightening. So we got to put some money there. I don't know if Blake mentioned this, but one of the things I've been interested in, we've got our teacher salaries to a point that we are substantially above any other state in the Southeast. But teacher aides pay has not followed along with the teacher pay, and I want us to look at that. Those aides in those classrooms are very important to our school system and to our students, particularly in the younger grades.
Buddy, what committees do you serve on up there in Atlanta?
It's a long list. I chair the Ethics Committee. I serve on Judiciary. I serve on Insurance. I serve on Reapportionment. I did serve on the Special Election Integrity Committee that wrote Senate Bill 202. But that committee went away after we produced a pretty good piece of legislation. I serve on Natural Resources. I serve on Retirement. And there's at least one more that I can't think of right now that does not meet very frequently. Special Rules. I serve on Special Rules.
Yeah, and on the phone with us, Buddy DeLoach, State Representative in Atlanta. So what's your daily routine? You come back at at home during the weekends, or do you stay up there on the weekends, or how?
Actually, I normally come home either. Some we're going to take some Fridays off, so a lot of weeks we'll just be here 4 days. But when we do that, we frequently have meetings late on Friday. So I don't get to come home Friday night. I get up early Friday morning and try to get out of town, beat the traffic out of town. If we stay at the Capitol until 5 o'clock on Fridays, getting in that traffic trying to get out of Atlanta is just brutal. So I normally would spend Friday night here, if we in on Friday, and get up Saturday morning and go home. But I go home every weekend.
Have they made any headway on that Macon exchange? I mean, last time I went during Christmas time, that was a mess. Has that gotten any better?
No. No. It's exactly the same. And then the bottleneck coming into Atlanta, if you're not off of 75 by about 2:30 on Sunday afternoon, it gets really bad too in that Hampton area. It's just you just sit still. So I try to leave pretty early Sunday morning and get off of the road by about 2 o'clock.
Okay. Well, again, we appreciate you calling in. We'll talk to you next Wednesday. You stay safe in Atlanta.
Awesome. Great to talk to y'all.
Appreciate you calling in. Buddy Deloach from Atlanta, Georgia, calling in, and appreciate him doing that here on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show here on WIFO. We got more guests in the studio with us. We'll be back in a minute.
South Georgia weather.
Here's your WIFO forecast.
Hi everyone, cloudy skies and occasional showers or a few isolated storms, much of that during the first part of the day, but we're also dealing with some patchy fog. Through the afternoon, clouds around, highs in the low and mid 70s. Tomorrow, we'll have mostly cloudy skies, a few scattered showers and storms, most of that through the afternoon and early evening. The same happens on Friday, warmer, highs in the low and mid 70s. I'm Georgia meteorologist Laura Huckabee in the GNN Weather Center.
WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio, world famous Butch and Bob Show here on this Wednesday morning, the 24th day of January. And Bob, we've got guests in the studio with us. Who do we have this morning?
We've got the Mayor of Scriven, Mr. Jason Weaver in. We've also got Mike Hargrove with us as well. The push for the 1 cent continuation pennies underway. They got a town hall meeting set for Monday, February 12th, and that's going to be the topic. So just want the mayor to come in here for Scriven. They had a meeting last Friday, which was interesting. You organized that meeting to try to get everybody on the same page. Said you need a unified, positive message out there. But you mentioned, you and the mayor of Odom stressed how important this SPLOST money is for both those cities. You basically said without the SPLOST funds, the cities wouldn't survive.
That's right. Yeah, without that, and I've heard some people, some of the other sides, it's like, well, they've become dependent on this and that. Well, the reason I brought Chief Deputy Hargrove with me is most everybody knows he was in Scriven for 20 years, and he's done it from the water leak to taking the water payment, right, to the police department, to every department. And he can tell you he wrote the SPLOST referendum for Scriven in 2018 before that went into effect in 2018. I think they did it in 2017. And before we come into office, before I come into office. And, the importance of it is just unbelievable. You can't, in a large city, they can recover because their tax base usually gives them enough money. But when you're operating on a small city and your tax base is next to nothing, your tax base is less than one person's salary for a year, one employee. Just think about that. And how? So you say, well, how in the world are you doing anything? Well, this is how you do anything. SPLOST is projected to bring in $28 million. If I was flipping a coin and I was going to Vegas, and the way I know you like to do, Bob, I'd go ahead and put my money down. It's going to bring in more than that. That's just, I believe it. And $28 million is about $4.6 million a year over 6 years. One meal on the taxes, like when they talk about raising taxes, so many mills, da 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 da. One mill in Wayne County is valued at $949,000. Okay, so you're looking at 4.84 mills increase to balance out what we could bring from SPLOST. Now, the difference is that SPLOST, as everybody knows, everyone pays. If you're from Pierce County, Long County, wherever you're from, you pay. If they go up millage, it's just on us in Wayne County. So that's something to really think about when you talk about, I'm not going to support this. I mean, the smarter thing is to support it. I mean, in the end, Bob, Bob, I mean, I'm singing to the choir here, but I want Mike to kind of just tell people like the impact of SPLOST versus no SPLOST for us in Scriven. I mean.
Okay, Mike.
And I'll use once the mayor here came into office, when they came in, the first year in, the main water tower went down. Had some holes in the pipes, the shafts were bad going down, and we got it looked at, and we had to rebuild the system, and it run about $85,000. It was down a month and a half, run on the backup well, which we always ran every year when the tower was inspected, but it was like a 1 to 2 day run. Well, in the period of the month and a half, Tower 2 started losing pressure. And when we got Tower 1 up, we had them go to the secondary pump, the backup, Tower 2, and discovered that there was also issues in the line pipe there in the shaft going down, and had to totally rebuild that system. So you looked on that one, was running about $75,000 to replace it. So in the period of the first few months of them coming into office, they spent $160,000 that would have ruined the city of Scriven if they'd have had to come up with the money, or they'd have had to borrow it and finance it. And the big thing about the city of Scriven, and I'm going to include Odom in this, is they keep their tax base so low, and they keep it low because they can use SPLOST for their big line item projects, work at the treatment plants, putting in new pump stations, backhoes for the street department, for the sewage. You get police vehicles, fire service in Scriven. Everybody talks about how good the fire department is there and how well equipped they are. Well, that's because of SPLOST. Now, the city council in the past has done gracious with the fire department, giving them, but the big items come from that. And without that, the small cities are going to suffer, because they try to keep their tax base down to keep the citizens happy, and they depend on SPLOST. Your city and county also depend on SPLOST, because their line item projects they're going to put on there are a lot more. So you hear the people talk about, well, I don't want another tax. So this is not another one. This is a continuation one that's been there as long as I can remember.
Well, this is SPLOST 5,
That's
so
right.
it's been there over the last 20 years.
Yep.
So 4 times in a row, Wayne Countyans have voted for this SPLOST to help fund all these projects in Wayne County. So property taxes don't have to go up, business taxes don't have to go up. 1/3, they show in small communities like this that over 1/3 of the money collected comes from folks from out of town that pass through or stay here in Wayne County. So it makes sense to me that if you're going to have 1/3 of the taxes that are going to be paid for the projects that are needed here in Wayne County, it's good to have it done by folks from out of town, at least 1/3 of it. And you're only talking about a penny that has been on the books now for, over 20, well, this, like I said, this will be the 5th time, so it's been over 20 years that we've had this extra penny. And if you just take a look at all the different projects, I mean, if you had a list of them right now of all the projects that were funded by SPLOST over the last 20 years, you would be amazed.
Absolutely.
You'd be amazed
But
at the things it's done.
With what you're saying, just, Bob, you were at that meeting we had Friday. This information was given to us. Just Walmart alone puts $1 million a year in SPLOST. What's the percentage of non-Wayne Countyans that shop at Jesup Walmart?
Look at the tags out there.
Right.
They come from Pierce. They come from Long. They come from McIntosh. They come from Bacon. They come from Tatnall,
Some come
All
from
around.
Hinesville because, I mean, if you've been to that Walmart in Hinesville, I'd rather drive to Jesup too.
I just want to remind everybody, like I said, the actual vote's on Tuesday, March the 12th, but the early voting gets underway on Monday, February 19th, so it's right around the corner. And I also want to remind everybody that the early voting will take place at the Cracker Williams Rec Center here in Jesup. That decision was made at the last city meeting. Paul Drawdy appeared before the commissioners, asked that they be able to use that because the building that they're building behind the tag office is just not ready as of yet. That's where the early voting is going to take place in the future. But again, early voting is going to take place at Cracker Williams. The city of Jesup was kind enough to give them that building at no cost, which I thought was a nice gesture by the city. It's nice to see Mike Deal step up and say, what are we doing? We don't want to charge these people.
That's right.
The city's going to need a favor from the county eventually. So just want to stress to people that this vote takes place. They just, as we mentioned, want to stress again, it's not a new tax, just a continuation of the 1 cent penny has been on the books for many, many years. I guess the unknown is the presidential primaries on that same date, so they're expecting a huge crowd. Normally, an e-splosh or splosh is just the only item on the agenda or on the ballot, but everybody in the world is going to come vote for this presidential primary, so that's the basically unknown. So we just want to stress the importance that people vote just for this continuation of the 1 cent penny.
And getting the information to them, because there's a lot of misinformation. I mean, you're hearing, I'm being told, we don't need no horse barn. Well, you need to understand it's not a horse barn. It's a multi-purpose arena.
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to be able to hold
that's going to bring folks
roping
into Wayne County.
But you're also going to be able to hold a country music concert out there, like a legit real one that's covered. Because even Second Chance Band, Mike, when y'all go play, you require cover.
That's correct.
Gotta have it.
I mean, you know why? Because they got thousands of dollars of equipment. So this facility, and is going to have the parking to handle the people that are there, is going to be way better than just people running around saying we don't need a horse barn. I mean, that's totally wrong. And that's the information that's got to get out to these people to understand, because every one of them says, I wish there was something to do in Wayne County. Well, there will be. We're trying to do something we can bring a concert. Would you like to take your child to a concert? Yeah, I'd love to be able to do that. Well, I mean, here's the opportunity.
This will be a multi-purpose building that you can do all kinds of things with.
And if you get mad because you think they're building a horse barn and say, I ain't voting for no horse barn, well, guess what you just did? You just voted no that we can't replace our lift stations in Scriven.
You don't take just one section of all the different things that are being that can be funded by it and say, I'm not going to vote for it because I don't want this one little thing.
That's right.
The city leaders, the county leaders, the mayors, the county administrator, all see the benefit of this, have seen the benefit of this for the last 20 years, and so that's the reason why Wayne Countyans have voted for this extra special splosh tax for the last 20 years, and it's just a continuation. Nothing new. Same penny that you've been paying for the last 20 years.
I'll tell you, this got told to me this week. I'm learning a lot in my 6th year, I can tell you. Is that we don't want to support that because politicians padding their pockets. Well, I've tried to take that 8 cent tax that we got total and add up what cent goes to the pocket, because I can't figure it out. So much goes to the state, so much goes to loss, so much goes to East Bloss, so much. I ain't found it, Bob. And I can tell you,
you haven't picked up your penny?
No, and if everybody else has, I'm pretty mad because somebody owes me a check then.
Why is it that folks vote for folks, support folks, and then think they get in there and do those kind of things?
Man, I'm broke as a joke. Ain't got a penny for a coat, pockets.
I mean, it's all got to be, the state has strict rules and regulations and how it has to be. You're audited. You've got to show everything that you spent every single penny on.
You got to keep those acronyms away from you. Those GBIs and FBIs and CIAs, and you got to keep those straight. And I promise you, they're looked at. But
people like to believe negative and stuff.
As Jason Weaver personally, I support. I'm here. I support this splosh, and as a mayor, I can assure you that I am not going to support something that I do not think is feasible and I think is a grab at money or this or that. I mean, I am a straight up dude and tell you just like it is. And this is the best thing. I mean, reality is, I wish we could all sit down at the table and figure out, hey, let's just have a 4 or 5 cent SPLOST tax and do away with people's property taxes if we can make that money. I mean, that's a great thing. Then we let Lone County pay for our property taxes. Sounds great to me.
Tell us about the town hall meeting. Who came up with this? And like I said, there's probably people out there going, they don't know what a SPLOST is. They don't know. This is a good opportunity for them to come. This town hall meeting is going to take place.
I was sitting when I left Friday. Remember, I told y'all I wanted to have one in Scriven for my people because I have a lot of foot traffic. Well, over the weekend, I mean, it's the honest truth. I was laying there on the couch, just laying there because constantly thinking. I mean, that's just how I'm programmed. I love what I do. So, what can I do? I said, man, I'm going to do this town hall meeting. It would be cool if I could do it, like, for the whole community. So I shot Ralph a text, and he's like, I'm in. You ain't even got to send me no message back and tell me no day. I'm in. I said, okay. So Monday morning, I went and worked out. I work out every morning, went and worked out, and I went and sat in the county office parking lot until County Administrator Paul Drawdy was available. And between that time, he was in a meeting with an insurance person. So between that time, I ran over to Dina. I said, hey, Dina, is there any way we could get the chamber behind and helping us and doing a community forum? And she's like, well, that sounds great. And so she emailed the lady at the college. Lady at the college said, you're more than welcome to use, because my vision was kind of like an eggs and issues thing where we sit up there and we can talk about exactly what we're doing here, the importance of why. And you got a question. Now, we're not going to have a dog and pony show. We're not going to stand up there and let you just throw eggs at us and this and that. You got a legit question, we're going to give you a legit answer. But, I mean, we're going to have to use some senses. And we're there about SPLOST. We're not there about, I don't know, anything, dog catching, for God's sake. I mean,
What time and who's all going to be on the forum?
6 to 8. That day, the 12th, I believe, is the day we got it scheduled for.
February 12th.
Yes.
All right.
And
at Coastal Pines.
At Coastal Pines Auditorium, not the Polytech Center. Around front in the auditorium. That way we have auditorium seating for people. And it's going to be the County Administrator, Mr. Paul Drawdy, Jesup Mayor, Mr. Ralph Hickox, Odom Mayor, Mr. Greg Rozier, and myself. And I'm sure we're going to have some people like the Sheriff's Department there can tell you the impact that they'll have from them. We're also doing a series of videos that the Technology Department at Wayne County High School has graciously partnered with the Chamber for a project for their kids. They're going to come and sit down and video all of us, like myself, whoever the city of Jesup decides to put in their video, whoever the county decides, and whoever Scriven and Odom decides. Like the one, just for instance, the one I'm going to do is going to be myself and Chief Hargrove, or Chief Deputy Hargrove, and we're going to just sit down and have a conversation and their videos so that they can push that out on social media so that you can listen to reality. Because if I tell you we're going to build this, this, and this, that's what we're going to build. We're not going to do that, because we have to do that if that's what we ask you. And in Scriven, we're going to replace 2 playgrounds, one playground at each community center that has been there, I know, longer than I'm alive, because I slid the slides. And those I looked at them yesterday. Just on the small end, start at $30,000 and go up to about $70,000 and $80,000 a piece. Playground,
right. Just
a playground. And if SPLOST doesn't pass, that don't happen. We don't have $80,000 to go build a playground. We also want to take that Grace Community area, that park, and move that fence in from 280. We don't have junior league ball there anymore. And the days of Mr. J.C. Denson men's softball's over. We want to move that fence in to 200 foot. That'll create us enough room to be able to build a walking track all the way around that Grace community. We have so many people that walk in the city of Scriven and so limited on sidewalks that if we feel like if we can get a walking path and put some lighting along it, some benches along it, maybe build a thing where you can do whatever you call that, monkey bars or something. I mean, little exercise things along that walking path to increase the quality of life for people. I mean, in a small community. I mean, I drive, I mean, I know it sounds crazy. I do 2 5Ks a day, and I drive to Brunswick to that one across from Spanky's all the time, just to walk. And Waycross, just to walk. But I love it. And so does about 30 people in Scriven because they're out walking.
Out walking, yeah. Well, Wayne County, as I'm shown for the last 4 times for the last 20 years, they've seen the benefit of having this extra penny. It's been there for a long, long time now. Their wisdom has shown that, and then the projects have been built, and hopefully that will continue on so Wayne County can continue to have these projects not only in Wayne County, but it's so important to Scriven and to Odom to be able to support the things that y'all do in the small community, and also in Wayne County and in Jesup. So Wayne County has voted for it 4 times in a row over the last 20 years. Let's hope it'll the 5th time will continue on, and these projects will be done, and Wayne County will continue to improve on this 1 cent sales tax that's been on the books now for over 20 years.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys. I mean, we're going to cut some ads with you guys to put out that's informational purposes, and I mean, anybody that can get the word out. I mean, look, call me. I'll talk to you about it as long as you talk reasonable. I mean, I'll talk to you. I can't answer crazy questions off key, and I can't answer county questions, but I can answer your question of the importance of what it would mean for Scriven, and I feel like I could answer what it would mean for Odom because I've talked with Mayor Rozier enough to know the impact and what he's got going on. Chief Deputy Hargrove and them, everybody wants to be safe in our community, right? You want protection. You want to be safe. They can't purchase 11 trucks. I mean, they have way more officers than we do if you don't have something like a SPLOST in place. They can't get those body cameras. They can't get those handcuffs to lock this guy up. They can't have resources without that. Yeah, there is a funding mechanism, but I'm telling you, if you want a homework project, go see what percentage of income comes from your tax base in each little city.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate you coming in. Like I said, we've got time to get this message out, but like I said, hopefully they'll see the signs. They're going to put the chamber's going to put up their signs, continue the penny. So like I said, it's just, that's the thing we want to stress. It's not a new tax. It's just a continuation of what's been on the books, like Butch says, for over 20 years. So hopefully they'll see the need for it, and we're just going to get the message out and continue to push the message until the date comes Tuesday, March the 12th. But again, that early voting starts on that 19th of February. So, and again, a reminder, early voting will take place at Cracker Williams Rec Center.
Isn't it crazy that you literally get a month to vote and you fuss about voting? That's crazy to me.
I said, I'm a traditionalist. I vote on the day.
I vote on election day. I do too.
I vote on the day of election.
I think if you had a week before, you could save all kind of resources. Just say, okay, we're going to vote the week before.
It should be dropped down to 2.
Yeah. Don't give me these 3 weeks because it's costing counties.
Right, and cities.
It's a very expensive process.
All right. Anything exciting other than the splash happening in Scriven?
Man, there's always.
I know y'all had all kinds of stuff going on in December and so forth.
Man, there's always something exciting going on in the city of Scriven. I mean, every time that daylight breaks, baby, it's something exciting in Scriven. We're getting ready to
Christmas in the Park, another
success.
Those kids love that snow.
They love it, man. It's crazy, ain't it? We have to give kudos to Adam Pruitt for that. He come up with that idea and pitched it to me years ago, and we took off and run with it. So I still give him credit, as much as me and Hargrove don't like to give him much credit, but we give him credit for that. But we'll be, City of Scriven, City of Jesup, will be, and all the cities will be in a conference this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we'll be in Atlanta, and then Monday, it-ins Monday morning, and then Tuesday, I get sworn into that position by the governor at 3:30. So that's pretty
And what
exciting.
position is that again?
The Juvenile Justice Board for the state.
Juvenile Justice.
It's kind of. I had the first meeting, and you're in there with all these. It's about bad kids is what it's about, okay? So you're sitting around with all these judges and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, well, who are you? He's like, I'm the juvenile judge from Chatham County. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. So they said that an interesting fact that was stated that day was Savannah led the state in juvenile lockups. with
wow.
with 85. I told him, I said, there's the problem. I could walk the halls at Wayne County High School and get you 85 in 30 minutes. Guarantee you. And he said, well, we don't like to lock them up. Well, if they're shooting people, they need to be locked up. And so they go around the room and they introduce everybody, and this one's either, almost everybody on the board is a juvenile judge from somewhere in the state or a Department of Family and Children Service person, and got something to do with, children, youth advocacy. So they come around and they get to me, and I introduce myself, Jason Weaver, Mayor of Scriven, Georgia. Naturally, nobody's heard of Scriven, Georgia, so I have to explain that. And they say, well, what, put you involved in youth, where'd you start at in youth or whatever? And I said, well, I raised 4 girls, and the governor put me on here to be a sensible head. So
okay,
that's the bottom line. If you raise 4 girls, you qualify.
You qualify for it, huh? Now, are you going to a meeting or somewhere after this? Because no one should dress up this colorful as you are to come on radio.
Well, Butch, I'm going to be honest with you. I just left the gym. I just worked out this morning. I went in and changed. And I literally have on a Johnny Cash shirt.
That's a Johnny Cash shirt? Yeah, I see that now. A Johnny Cash shirt. Yeah.
Yep. How about that? I didn't
get to see the image on there because it was all wrinkled up there as you were leaning forward
Tennessee
there.
too, dance show.
Yeah, but you got
Nashville.
the jacket that kind of matches it there. I mean,
but
you're styling.
I probably got this at Goodwill, to be honest with you. I mean, it's
I'm
sharp.
saying you're colorful.
Yeah, hey,
you are dressed colorful this morning.
my lady keeps me dressed to impress.
All right, Mayor of Scriven, Jason Weaver, looking sharp this morning. Appreciate you coming in. Chief Deputy Hargrove, thank you very much for coming in and explaining what you've done in the past and how important it is for this special sales tax to continue there for the city of Scriven and for Wayne County.
All I'd like to say is everybody get out and vote on this SPLOST. Think about what you're voting when you go in there. Remember, it's a continuation of what's there now, so it's not an increase. And think about what it does for the cities and the county.
Yep.
That otherwise would not happen, or the tax base would have to go up more for it to happen.
Okay. All right. Y'all take care.
Thank
Bob,
you, guys.
Have a good day. All right, the world-famous Butch and Bob Show here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup, brought to you by First Southern Bank, by Van's Barbecue, Murphy Builder Supply, and O'Quinn & Associates.